All right. Yo, 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 people. What is up? Welcome to the show. This is SAS Football. You're here with your co-host, Safu and Sniper. We know we've been away for a while, but we're back now and we're looking forward to the games this weekend. Welcome to my co-host, Safu. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. Can't complain, Happy to be back. It's been a while. We're missing for a bit, but it's okay. We're back now and
You're,
got good
you're
content coming.
you're fresh off the Champions League victory in midweek, 4-0 victory. What has it been, like 8 years away from the competition?
Yeah, since 2017, last time Arteta was in our midfield. Now he's our coach.
Oh, was it 2017? So that's about what, 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, so it's been a while. It's great to be back. Can't lie. The excitement was unreal on Wednesday. So, great to be back. Good start to the Champions League too. I've always said Arsenal haven't been the best in Europe, regardless whether it's Europa League or Champions League. But we saw when we were in Europa League, in the previous seasons, we saw that whenever we switched our team for Europa League, our results were just scraping through them. So it
Yeah,
was
and
good to get a confident performance in, and one that will actually like stamp a mark on Champions League. So that was good.
let me ask you this. I've seen a lot of talk on Twitter, on the socials over the last weekend. But people, before we get into it, please make sure to comment, like, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna keep all the content coming, and yeah, just let us know, in the comments what you'd like, and just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and so forth. But yeah, Saf, let me ask you. I've seen a lot of on social over the last, week, 2 weeks, and especially after the win in midweek for Arsenal. But where do you see, realistically speaking, what is your expectations for Arsenal in the Champions League this season? I mean, obviously the league, um, it seems like Arsenal will put up a title challenge. Whether you'll come out as winners against this phenomenal City team is a different story. But the Champions League is a different, game. It's a different competition. You don't. It's anyone's game. So what's your thoughts? And I want to try and get it from you where you think.
Look, I would say going into a group stage, the group we have shouldn't be no problems. We
Yeah,
should top that group. I don't care how we top the group, we should top that group. Where do I want us? My expectations, we need to win the Champions League. I want Arsenal to win the Champions League. That's the only black mark on their history or whatever you want to call it, it's the only competition we really haven't won. So if we could win the Champions League, obviously that would be the main expectation. For me to say it was a successful Champions League, I think semi-final is minimum. And also if we do make the semi-finals, then it depends who knocks us out. If it's to a Real Madrid or Man City and we put up a fight, like it wasn't a walkover game, then okay, it happens. It's football. You can win some, you can lose some. But I will say that the Champions League, as you said, it's anyone's game. So even if we are not doing well in the league, we can still go and win the Champions League.
agreed. I mean,
We saw
Chelsea have
Chelsea
proved.
do that. Exactly.
Chelsea
We
did
saw
it
Chelsea
twice.
do that.
Chelsea did it
So
twice. Yeah.
I will say that no matter what, I think it's easier to win the Champions League because it is one-off games. It can be on anyone's day, so you can win that competition. It's easier to win that competition than the league, in my opinion. And according to many managers, it's also the case. So
Yeah.
yeah, expectation is to win the Champions League. But I would say semi-final should be minimum because I see us walking through our group. Round of 16 shouldn't be that bad if we win our group because we'll play a second place team. And then quarterfinals is actually where I want to see us. It's crunch time, we actually have
Yeah,
to
it's more
play
the
and win
it's
that
more the
game.
business, more the business in there. So let me ask you this, and I don't want to stay too long on the segment. We'll cover a couple of games of Europe in the Champions League, Europa League, but um, which are the teams that you fear? So City, obviously, they are, probably the favorites to win,
Yeah.
and it will be difficult to overcome City. But anything can happen in a one-off game. Say, for example, you meet in the final. I don't think Real Madrid are the same Real Madrid, but everyone talks about football heritage.
You know, Madrid and the history of the Champions League, you can't write them out that competition.
Okay. Yeah. So I think Madrid are up there. What about, we saw Bayern Munich in the week. Um, you think Arsenal over two legs beat Bayern Munich, have a chance against this Bayern Munich team?
Yes, I do. And the
Yeah.
reason I say that is because Arteta always gets the better of Tuchel. When he was at Chelsea, he did. So that's the fate I have. I also do think our team is strong enough to take on Bayern Munich.
And things don't. I agree with you. And things don't look very rosy in Bayern Munich. I think a lot of the players. I don't know if they've bought into Tuchel's philosophy, into his style of play. There's been a lot of talk that's coming out, some leaks, this, that, but and to be honest, I don't think I was overly impressed with Bayern Munich in the week. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think they were there for the taking. I mean, they were sloppy up front against Man United. I still think if they put
I don't agree with you. I think Bayern Munich just took their foot off the gas and allowed United to come back into the game.
but three times.
I think on another day, that same Bayern team can hit them for 6 or 7.
Let me ask you: Do you think that the Liverpool's, the Arsenal of now, and obviously the City, they would have torn that Bayern Munich team to shreds? Do you think so?
That's a difficult question because when Bayern have a different opponent, I mean, we saw they went up in 2-0 inside maybe 20 minutes. Bayern Munich went up 2-0 in the first few I know first.
The Onana mistake, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, once you go up 2-0, it's very easy to take your foot off the gas and just play around with the opponent. But if they're playing against the Arsenal City, I don't see Bayern Munich going up so early in that game, which means they won't take their foot off the gas, which means it'll be a completely different game.
Fair enough. I just think I expected a bit more from the Bayern Munich team. Like Man United,
I will say they haven't looked convincing.
they
haven't looked like the Bayern Munich that we know. Like Bayern Munich.
That's not even the Bayern Munich that we know. But look at when you add in context, right? Man United struggling. They have, I mean, a lot of the fans say that they have a lot of their players out, and I agree. Like Varane is a big miss. I don't think Luke Shaw is a big miss. One Big Saka is probably a miss, and Dalo was probably responsible for one of the goals. In midfield, I mean, I don't think Amrabat can count as a miss because he's new. They never really had him. We don't know what he brings to the table as yet and how he's going to fit
I'm
into
sure he brings more than McTominay. So
of course, he brings more, but yeah, and Mason Mount is out. But again, Mason Mount didn't really look convincing in the United team in the beginning of the season. And then obviously we know what's happening on that right wing with Sancho and Anthony. So let's not even go there. But so yeah, okay, they had maybe a couple of players out here and there. Bayern Munich are supposed to be, the superpower team, and I expected them to really, really blow them away. And the fact that they kept Man United were in it right until the end, and United and Bayern Munich still let them come back in the game on numerous occasions. I feel like I expected a bit more from Bayern Munich, but yes, I think
it is a bit concerning that they let them come into the game so multiple times.
Yeah.
A different Bayern Munich would have probably kept the foot on their throats and just finished that game off.
I agree.
Like a City would have done.
I agree.
So
and
they are not looking as convincing, but then again, Bayern Munich can turn it on and become this powerhouse of a team that we have seen. So they have the players for it.
Last team, I want to get your comments on PSG. How do you feel about facing PSG in the latter stages of the competition?
If I'm being honest with you, on paper, I don't see the team as great. I haven't seen them play the season. I haven't watched the PSG game this season. So I can't really say by the way they play. I know they have a top manager, Luis Enrique, and on paper their team doesn't look that frightening. So I would say I think we can give them a go, and I think we should get the better of them over two legs.
Fair enough.
So I don't see it as that much concern. Like if you're comparing them to a City or Madrid, then they're much less concerning for me than those two teams.
Understand. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. Anyway, to wrap up like the midweek fixtures, we saw obviously a routine win for Man City in the week. We saw a loss for Man United, and we can talk about Man United a little bit when we get onto the weekend fixtures. Who else was there? Newcastle coming away with the draw and they return to the Champions
So
League.
that's a big one. Newcastle, I will say, welcome to the Champions League.
Yeah.
Very different competition as they could see. I think they were very lucky to get away with the draw. But then again, look, they went to Milan and got the draw. So if you don't look at the bright side, take that as the bright side. But welcome to the Champions League. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough group for them. You know, they'll do very, very well to get out of the group. I said that before, and they haven't really looked convincing this season, either in the league. I think they won their last fixture with the Wilson penalty against Brentford. So you know, maybe this will kickstart them in second gear in the Premier League, but it remains to be seen. But yeah, the Champions League different game. I think they got lucky with the draw, but it's a good point. You know, to come back from Italy is a very, very good point. Why don't we get into the weekend since I think that's most of it.
You're forgetting Brighton. I mean, it's Europa League. Brighton are there. I mean, they should have won. I mean, we know how good Brighton can be. So I guess for Brighton, you just have to wait and see. Is it too much pressure for them, or is it just a blip? You know.
I think maybe also nerves could have got the best of them. You know, they're making their European bow, to say. So it could have been nerves. So we'll see. But I don't think there's any high expectations on Brighton in Europe this season. I think for them, maybe finishing in the top six, potentially sneaking in the top five, would probably be their biggest target this season.
I mean, if you do see Brighton in eighth too, you're not gonna say, "Oh wow," you know, it's Brighton at the end of the day. We know how they operate. You know, they in the business to make money. You know, so
that actually remains to be seen. I think if we see Brighton in 10, 9, 8, I think it's kind of underachieving for Brighton, given the start they've had, given the plaudits we're giving them, you know, with the way they run. I think there are a certain level of expectations on them. We're not saying that they should finish in the top five, you know, make Champions League or anything, but I think the way they kind of a victim of their own success now. Like there is some, every time we watch Brighton play on a week in, week out basis, it's not, most of the time we expect Brighton to win unless they're coming up against a top 6, 7 side.
No, totally agree. But even if they are coming up a top 6, 7 side, I mean, I know when I play Brighton, when Arsenal play Brighton, especially away, I'm like, okay, this game can be
Exactly.
nervous.
So there is some expectation on Brighton, is
Yeah,
my
of
point.
course. There is. But I would say if they finish 8 or 9, no one's gonna bat an eye, you know. They're gonna say, oh, they should have done better and move on, you know. So
I don't know. I think if they finish ninth, underwhelmingly 9th, 10th, people might say that they could have done better.
understandable.
But I don't think there'll be any pressure on the manager.
Oh no. I don't think so.
No, of course not. Anyway, and then West Ham winning there. I think they won in the week in the Europa League. So I think West Ham might have a good campaign. But let's move on. Let's move on to the North London derby. It's the only place to start for the weekend fixtures. And how are you feeling about it?
Look, this is very difficult to explain, but I will say when I first looked at this fixture, I'm like, I thought, okay, you know what, routine win. But the way Spurs have come out this season, it is a bit, I won't say nerve-wracking, but a bit worrying. So it is on my mind when we're playing Spurs this weekend, but also we're playing at the Emirates. So that's giving me big confidence. Spurs haven't beaten us at the Emirates in 30 years, or they've beaten us once in 30 years, sorry. So I don't see them coming to our ground and taking the points. I will say if we saw in midweek how PSV came out against Arsenal and tried to play attacking football, and they got punished for it.
They got it wrong. Very wrong.
If Spurs come out and play that attacking football, I think we would still beat them. And I think it'll be comfortable for us to beat them. And I think Ange is not going to change the way he comes out. If they sit back and counter-attack us, it could be a different story. But if they're coming out to play against us, that attacking football that they've been playing all season, I think it can get very ugly for them.
Really?
I think so. And I'll put my chest on the line for that. I think if they're coming out to play attacking football, it's going to end very ugly for them.
Very ugly, as in like we're thinking about a cricket score of 5-6er.
I think we'll win by 3 goals if they do that.
Where do you think is going to be the key? Okay, so assume that he plays and he stays true to his philosophy that we've seen this season. Where do you think are going to be the key battles on the field? Is it going to be in midfield, Basuma, Rice? Or is it going to be the Saka, Udogi? There's some key battles in there.
Look, I think Udogi has had a good start, but again, Udogi hasn't come up against a serious winger. He came up against, I think the best winger he came up against was probably Anthony. So, and we know Anthony hasn't been that great. So I think this is Udogi's real test.
Agreed.
And so this will tell whether Udogi is gonna be here to stay or if he's just having some
He came up against
beginner's luck.
Mbuemo, if I'm not mistaken. Mbuemo is pretty decent.
He did come up against Mbuemo,
Yes.
but Mbuemo does come inside a lot, but Saka
Does,
hugs the line, so
he
we'll
does.
see. And I think another key battle is the midfield, obviously. Look, you got Basuma and Papa Sa on one side, and you got Rice, Odegaard, and probably Havertz.
Probably Havertz.
I think
Probably
Havertz.
Havertz.
If I'm Arteta, I play Vieira. I don't play Havertz.
Do you think if you play Vieira, you're a bit more too open versus playing Havertz? Havertz, I guess, has the imposing physical nature, so it gives you a little bit more defensively.
Look,
Theoretically,
Havertz has been good, like in winning duels and stuff this season, and obviously in the air winning those battles. But going forward, it's very
he doesn't
underwhelming.
offer much.
It's
Yeah.
very underwhelming. But when you see Vieira come on or even start, I just get excited every time I see Vieira on the ball because he can pick that pass out, he can get past the player. So it's more exciting to play Vieira. And I will say the one thing when Vieira did play against Everton, we saw Rice was able to be cover for Odegaard and Vieira. And he was up against, Decore, Onana, and Idrissa Gueye. So it was a physical midfield from Everton. Granted, Everton aren't obviously in the best position, but we can see how Rice can cover more than Partey can with Rice's athleticism at this stage. I know Partey is aging now, so Rice is looking like, obviously, we know Rice is going to be our future. So I would like to see Vieira there. I don't think that's going to happen. And another key decision that Arteta has to make is Raya or Ramsdale. So again, if you're asking me, I'm going Raya all day long. I mean, he played 2 games, had 2 clean sheets. So I don't see a reason why Ramsdale should be back in this team yet. So those are the key battles. I think we know Trossard will probably start on the left, and he'll be up against either Pedro Porro or Emerson Royal. So that's another good thing to keep your eye out on. I think Trossard, we've seen what he can do, and he just scores or assists whenever he plays. So
who would you prefer to start up front, Gabriel Jesus or Eddie Nketiah?
It should be Jesus. I shouldn't be entertaining the thought of Nketiah starting in this game.
But do you think he'll start because Gabby started
in midweek, right? That's the only thing that's concerning for me, especially since Gabby just came back from his injury. I don't see Arteta risking him for 2 games. It's such quick such quick turnaround.
I agree with that. Let me ask you one more question before we get into predictions. Is this the end of Aaron Ramsdale's Arsenal career, or is this more of a rotation move from Arteta? Where do you stand?
No, I think he's here to replace Ramsdale.
So he's done. Ramsdale's
I think Ramsdale's career is done. I think Arteta has been ruthless. Some may say that Ramsdale doesn't deserve this, and some may say, Arteta's just ruthless, and that for me, that's how football works. If you can't be at your best at all times, you're gonna be replaced, and that's how it should be. You're playing in a top club like Arsenal, so it's you're gonna be at risk of that getting replaced, and we want to win titles. Let's be serious. If Raya gets us to titles, I'm not gonna complain. If we've seen what Ramsdale can do, we know he has those moments in him. I'm not saying Ramsdale's a bad keeper, but I've just been much more confident seeing Raya in goal than Ramsdale.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna be completely honest here, and I'm gonna give you some examples. Like, I don't get what all the fuss is about. People saying it's unfair on Ramsdale, those kind of things. Da 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 da. I'll give you two examples. Thibaut Courtois replaced Pericek, and everyone and Czech was a phenomenal servant, you can say, to Chelsea for 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Courtois comes in after being on loan for 2 years and takes the number one spot, and Czech is on his way to Arsenal. Pep Guardiola comes into the Premier League and he replaces City's arguably best player in Joe Hart.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even give him a chance. So I think if you want to be the best, there's going to be an element of ruthlessness, and it's the way the game works. It's business at the end of the day. Arteta has identified Raya as the potential keeper to take you to the next level.
Look, Arteta wanted Raya before Ramsdale too, so you have to remember that. He saw opportunity now to get the man he initially wanted. So I do think that also that plays a factor in Raya being, Arteta's number one.
Yeah, I agree. I think if it's not a rotation move, it's a ruthless move, but it's the way things work. I'm sure there'll be a couple of clubs eyeing up Ramsdale if he does decide to leave Arsenal. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I don't think he's an elite goalkeeper, and I think Raya can be a world-class goalkeeper. My only grievance is I don't know why Chelsea didn't go in for Raya. At the, in the start of this, before they went for Sanchez, but I think Sanchez was the sweetener for Caicedo. So I think that
I think a lot of teams wanted Raya, but in the start of the window, I think Brentford wanted a very hefty fee.
They wanted about 40 million, and I think Spurs agreed terms with Raya, but they couldn't agree a fee with Brentford at the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's
Arsenal got him on loan. Obviously, that looks like it's going to be permanent, but 30 million for Raya is not a bad move, especially for the ability I think and potential this keeper has is unmatched. I think he can. We actually going to see him be one of the best in the league, and we're going to be talking about him in the conversation with the Alisson or Edison. In my opinion, I think that highly of him.
right. Okay, I'm just gonna let you. I'm just gonna let you be. I'm gonna
Look,
let you.
Look, I've always said he was a good keeper since Brentford days.
I don't know why you're going that far. I
look,
just
look,
you
you,
just like, yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. I'm not saying he's in that conversation right now, but I'm saying in 2 years' time, when Raya is still our number one, you will have him in that conversation.
Remember this conversation. You
I will
said
remember
Raya
it.
will be compared amongst the Ellison and the Edisons. That's what you said. Remember?
I think he will be.
Okay, that's all. I rest my
Clip
case.
me.
I rest my case.
One more thing I want to mention is obviously Odegaard's new contract.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you highest paid earner at the club? Do you think it's deserved?
I think it is deserved. Look, this guy is 24, 25 years old. He's only going to get better from here. And I just love watching this guy play. Look, his touches, the way he gets away from players, it's just so pleasing to watch on the eye. So I think it is deserved, and I'm hoping this new contract. Apparently signed it on September 1st, so he signed it like almost a month ago.
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. So I'm hoping this news of him signing this new deal kickstarts something in his brain, and he comes out firing against Spurs this weekend.
I think Odegaard's a special player. I think he's potentially can be one of the best number 10s in the league. And
let's not forget he was signed for 30 million.
That's true.
He was a bargain in this market. So
that is true. I mean, yes, he has turned out to be a bargain. Yes, that's true. Anyway, predictions for the game. It's North London derby, Arsenal at home. I think you must. I think it would be a very underwhelming performance if you didn't come away with the 3 points. So where do you?
I think we're gonna go. We're gonna beat them this weekend. I don't see them beating us. the best they can do is a draw, in my opinion. I watched their game against Sheffield, wasn't very convincing. But then again, Northern and Derby is different, form goes out the window. But for my prediction, I'm gonna go with 3-0 Arsenal.
3-0. Okay.
No.
I'll go 2-0. I think it will be a little closer, but I think
You think we're gonna beat them
yes,
comfortably?
I think it should be a comfortable win. I think Spurs have done well this season, but I think they don't have the quality that Arsenal possess currently. And I think it's still too early for Big Ange to try and challenge the likes of Arsenal and City this season. So I
True.
think, yeah.
I,
So
I
I think Arsenal will routinely win. I think Spurs will still have a good campaign based on what we've seen so far, but I think this might be too much for them at this particular point in time.
What
Oh,
Spurs, they have a chance of having a good campaign because I think we spoke about before, they're not in Europe, they're out of a League Cup, they're just focusing on two competitions at the moment.
that's
And the
the
FA Cup hasn't even started yet. So
that's the other point I was gonna make before I end off on Spurs. The only chance I think they have this weekend is that they've probably had a whole week to prepare for Arsenal, and Big Ange would know that. Whereas Arsenal had a game in midweek, the PSV game. Whether or not that was an easy walk in the park for Arsenal is another story, but it still was a very strong team that played, and they might be a little leggy.
yeah, no, I agree. I think it is beneficial that in midweek we played at home. So we weren't traveling. So
Yes, yeah.
I think that will be a big plus sign for us. But even if we were traveling, I don't see Spurs coming to the Emirates and grabbing anything.
I don't see it either. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I just think
I would love it if I saw a draw, then Arsenal fans can melt down on Twitter. But
yeah, they're gonna melt down regardless. Don't worry, they'll
so
find something to melt down about.
they'll find some. That is always true. Anyway, let's go over to the other side of London, the blue side. So Chelsea come up against Villa this weekend at Stamford Bridge. In
Blue
need of
side is looking very grey.
a much needed 3 points. God knows we need that 3 points against Villa this weekend, but I don't think it's gonna be easy. I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park. It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't feel that way given the performances we've seen this season. I think the only performance that was of a decent level was the win against Luton. I think the game against Liverpool, we were pretty unlucky not to come away with the 3 points. But other than that, it's been underwhelming. And the game against Bournemouth last weekend was just Chelsea could have played for 900 minutes and not scored. That's how we felt. Like, I didn't see a goal coming. I mean, there were chances. But yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah, go for it.
You got Villa are you playing at Villa Park?
Stamford Bridge.
At Stamford Bridge. Okay, it's still not going to be an easy game, but you should win. Who do you have after Villa?
I believe it's Burnley away and then Fulham at home.
Okay, so let's say after these 3 games, how many points are you saying minimum before you put the nail in the coffin? Like you say that's it.
Yeah, so I think if he doesn't pick up 6 points out of the next 3 games, so 6 out of 9 points, Chelsea are probably on the verge of being in crisis mode this season.
Just on the verge. So when will crisis hit? Halfway through the season?
No, so crisis will hit because if you look at the Chelsea's fixtures, in the next 3 fixtures are winnable fixtures. I would say all 3 are winnable. Villa, Fulham, Burnley. And after that, I think it's international break. And I think coming back from international break, Chelsea face Arsenal. And I believe they face 5 out of the 6. So I think it's Arsenal, Newcastle, Man United, and City, if I'm not mistaken, in November, leading up to the winter break. If Chelsea don't pick up 6 points out of the next 3 games, and they come back from international break, and out of the next maybe 5 games against the top 6 teams, if they don't get anything, then I think it's the road to 40 points this season.
If you all do this road to 40 points again, You all are the most shameless fan base out there. And I'm talking about the United fans out there. So
But let me ask you this: you're saying
no. Wait, before you go into that, you all spent your current squad is over about £1 billion.
about £1 billion, yes.
It's about £1 billion. If you all spend £1 billion and you're saying you got the road to 40 points, have some shame in that. Where does it end then?
But I'm acknowledging it's underwhelming. I'm acknowledging that if this manager doesn't finish in the top 6, top 8 this season, I think the manager is out of his depth. Potch hasn't proven anything. Let's talk about the manager. Look,
I've seen fans on Twitter calling Potch
Potch out was trending as well
I
as Ten
agree.
Hag. I think right now the you'd be an intelligent man to predict which manager goes first, Potch or Ten Hag. But if I'm being completely honest with you, what has Potch done to instill confidence in the fan base? I mean, he did well at Spurs over 2 seasons, but some say he should have won the league against Leicester. Some say he
Could have won the Champions League.
could have won the Champions League. That's the second thing I was saying. And then he didn't. What I think he lost one year at PSG. He lost the league one year, and he didn't. Where the furthest he took PSG in the Champions League? Was it the quarterfinals or the semifinals? Thomas Tuchel took PSG to the Champions League final, and they were the runners up against Bayern Munich. But other than that, like I think the next coming games is going to be very, very telling for Potch and what Potch is made of, because it's not working. He's choosing to play the inverted left back and putting Colwell at left back and the inverting when they go forward, which completely minimizes the attacking threat. The left side is completely non-existent. Everything is coming from the right. And everything comes from the right. And the fact that Reece James is out. Look, Gusto is a very good right back. I think he's a very accomplished right back. I think he's been a good signing. He's been a good deputy. But he doesn't offer anything going forward. He's crosses into the box. His final ball, his link-up play in the final third is not there. There's not enough quality there. So we have an underwhelming right side in terms of final delivery. We have a striker that looks short of confidence. We don't have anyone on the left. That's the left side is completely non-existent, and we still have Nkunku out. So
you have the Ukrainian Bolt on the left.
We have the Ukrainian Bolt, but that's all he is a Bolt, right?
Look, I mean, Chelsea have been underwhelming, especially since we watched them in preseason. And they actually looked like they had something going in preseason, you know, had some tactics, had something about them in preseason. But once the league started, they looked like a completely different side.
I don't understand.
I don't know if this
lineup,
is this the change from the manager, or is the players just like giving up, throwing in the towel?
I mean, definitely you can see that the manager's tactics. I mean, in preseason he played a left back, a traditional left back in Chilwell or Maatsen on the left, or Kukureya on the left as a left back. Now he's choosing to invert with Colwell on the left, and he's making space for Silva and Disasi. So to me, I'm going to say it here, is that I want to see a traditional back four. Either we play, I heard Kukureya might be back this weekend. Even if Kukureya, I know a lot of Chelsea fans want Kukureya's head, but if he doesn't trust Chilwell in the back four on the left, then I want to see Kukureya play. Or I want to see Maatsen. If he doesn't trust Maatsen, then I want to see Kukureya. So I want to see a traditional left back playing in the left hand side of a back four. I'm okay with either. I would prefer Colwell as a left center back, and either he can if he can decide between Silva and Disasi, and then Reece James is probably still out, so I want to see Gusto on the right, and that's the traditional back four I want to see, and I want us to see and have a real go at Villa. I mean, I can't see him, going out like this. I can't see this Chelsea team having underwhelming performance, slow performance after slow performance. It just doesn't make sense. And
are you Potch out at the moment, or?
No, I'm not Potch out, but he has to improve. Like, this is where Potch makes his money. Like, seriously, this is what I'll say is that there's been a lot of investment in the squad. Yes, there's been a lot of outgoings as well. I'll say that. And I'll also say is that a lot of the talent that has come in has been young players. The only player, the oldest player I believe that came in was Disasi, who was 25 or 20, was 25 right now, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone else has been young. The average age of this Chelsea squad is 22.5 years old. We have the youngest squad in the league. So I'm not expecting a title challenge. I'm really not expecting a title challenge. I would have, like I said, my expectations was I want to see us fight for the Champions League places this season. I think we have a great midfield. I think the attack is very raw, but I think we have a solid defense. And given all those things, given all those variables,
One game a week.
a world-class manager in charge, he should still be able to produce better than what Potch is producing right now.
100% agree. And you'll have one game a week. So he has no
And
excuses.
one
He
game a
has
week.
time to work with this team.
Exactly.
I will say, I think if you all don't finish in the top 6, Potch has to walk regardless. Potch needs to walk. Top 6 or 7.
I would say top 8. I would say top 8. If Chelsea don't
8 is
finish in the
pushing it.
top 8,
You all spent $1 billion. I think 8 is pushing it, especially because you'll have one game a week too.
but they didn't sign. But the thing is, they didn't sign world-class beaters in players.
No, they didn't. But they
We know
spent
that
the
money don't
money.
equal success. How much money have Man United spent over the last 10 years, and how many Premier Leagues
Yeah,
have they
but
won?
we'll get on to Man United. They
I'm
nonetheless.
saying my point is money doesn't equate success.
No, agreed. But
You can throw money at your problems, but it takes time. And sometimes you're planting a seed and you're waiting for that to grow.
okay, so time will tell. Where
Time will tell.
I will say, I will if you, okay. So you saying that you planted the seed now and you're waiting for it to grow. That's what you're saying. So
Yeah, but you need a manager to be able to water that seed every week.
You telling me now, Potch either needs to say Potch waters that seed. You saying how many years will it take Chelsea to be fighting for a title then? What this project or process or whatever you want to call it going on, the P word.
Well, it depends. If we assume that he finishes in the top 8 this season. Look, Arteta also was the same. Look at Arsenal. Let's take Arsenal.
Right? I agree. That's why
Arteta finished 8 twice. Arteta finished 8 twice, then he finishes 5th. Then he finished 2nd. Correct. So say Potch finishes 8, 7th this season. Say he's lingering in the top 8. Then next season, I want to see Champions League. I want to see Champions League.
Okay, but you can't. I think it has to be sooner than what Arteta did because Arteta didn't spend as much, first of all. Second of all, the players he inherited weren't as good as what Potch inherited at Chelsea.
That's debatable. Arteta won.
That's not debatable. You all won the Champions League. Come on, that's not debatable. That's not debatable at all. You're telling me
was the Champions League because we had a great players, or was it a coaching masterclass?
Regardless of what it was, I'm saying you're telling me you.
And how many of those players are gone?
You can put Pep in charge of the team Arteta took over and they weren't winning a Champions League. Let's be serious.
Probably not. Pep needs money.
Regardless of who you put in charge, you could put Fergie in charge of a team, they weren't winning the Champions League. I'm telling you now, that team he inherited, it was absolutely shocking and ridiculous.
But you weren't in the Champions League, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
No, we weren't in the Champions League. I'm making a point that Potch's team that he inherited can't even compare to the team Arteta inherited.
The team that Potch inherited is gone. He's had a completely new rebuild. There's a new team. Yeah, there's 10 different players.
But I'm just saying, he was afforded that luxury to replace all that players. It took Arteta 3 years to replace all that players. It took Potch 1 year to replace all that players. And
but is
now,
it because,
the third year, that's
Chelsea are better at selling? Is it because Chelsea are better at getting rid and selling?
Regardless, even if they are better, then Chelsea are a better run club than Arsenal. We know that. But I'm saying, even if you're saying you can't compare Potch's 4 years, say 4 years to win the league. You can't say 8. I'll be happy if he gets 8, 5th and 2nd.
I didn't say 8. I don't want to see 2 8-place finishes. If I say 8-place finish this season, I'm not accepting 8.
Technically, Arteta only finished 8 once because the first season he took over from Emery.
But where were they when he took over?
I think they might be 7, 6, somewhere there.
Weren't they coasting top 4 when he took over?
No, they weren't coasting top 4 because Emery didn't win a game for 6 months when he took over. So I will say, like, Chelsea are better. It took Arteta 3 years to basically build his own team. It took Potch 1 year to build his own team. If Potch
Well,
doesn't start getting results from next season, there's question marks on the manager.
so let me ask you this. So I said if he finishes in top 8 this season, next season I want to see a top 4, top 5, whatever is Champions League. What are you saying then? If you're
I
disagreeing
want to
with me,
see him challenging for a title next season.
you want to see him going from finishing 8th or 7th and challenging for the title.
What the same, because he's going to get backed again. The same investment that he got this season, he's going to get again next season. Let's be serious.
So if Potch finishes in the top 7 this season and he gets, say, another 300, 400 million to spend.
First of all, I think if he finishes 7th this season, he has to go. That's what coming from a neutral fan, I'm saying that for you all.
I think it's not good enough. I agree. It's not good
Chelsea
enough.
fans won't accept
the top 5.
You all are spoiled. Chelsea fans are spoiled. Let's be serious. They've never had to.
But you're saying two things now. Now, when I'm saying he shouldn't walk. If he finishes 7th, we should give him another season. But then you're saying Chelsea fans are spoiled.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
I'm not saying. I'm telling you all. Even if I was a Chelsea fan, I would say if Potch finishes 7th, he has to go. What the amount of investment in the club, one game.
And that's because you're saying Chelsea fans are spoiled.
Huh? Even if they weren't spoiled, I'm saying that spoiled comment was referring to how Chelsea fans are going to react if he finishes 7th. I'm saying even if you all weren't spoiled, if Potch finishes 7th this season, he has to go. I'm sorry, he has to go. It's not good enough.
It's not good enough. I agree with the second part. I agree with you, but I don't think Potch will go if he finishes 7th. I don't think they'll sack the manager. I don't think they'll sack him. I think they'll give him another season. I think they'll invest in him more, and I think then they'll give him one more season. I think if he finishes 7th this season and if he doesn't coast Champions League next season, then I think he's gone. Then I think he'll go.
You're telling me this season is Potch's free hit? And then
no, it's not a free hit because I said I want to see Champions League. I want to see Champions League.
But you just said you'll be fine if you finish 7th.
I didn't say I'll be fine. I said it's very underwhelming.
But you won't sack him.
But I don't think the board will sack him. I don't think they'll sack him.
Have some standards.
Sack him and go away.
You can't.
Sack him and go away.
Huh?
Sack him and go away.
Oh, find another big engine.
Who's gonna come in? Who? Potch is basically rubber stamped every single signing that came in through the door. Every player he wants to work with and develop. If he finishes 7th or 6th this season, why would they want to throw away the progress that he made developing these players and just not give him another season?
Because so
why when Arteta finished 5th and he bottled the Champions League 4, why was he not sacked? Didn't you want Arteta gone?
I want him gone.
So then,
look, it can't
pay. That's been the wrong move, right?
No. At the time, it's not the wrong move.
Why?
In hindsight, yeah,
you sacked Arteta after
in hindsight,
the wrong move.
Yeah, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. You don't have hindsight. You telling me if Roman was here? No, you telling me if Roman was here and spent that money and Potch finished 7th, Potch is staying.
I think if Roman was here and he spent that money, he's not buying those players. I think Roman buys the top players, and I don't think Roman appoints Potch. I think Roman goes in for someone like
Ricardo. You can't change that fact. But the fact is, Potch is here. Look, I know
Roman's here, and Roman's gone.
Roman's gone, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to have more standards for Chelsea than it seems like half their fans are having.
Look, I think you're missing it though completely. I think what has Chelsea's highest place finish been this in the Premier League since 2017? Do you know?
Well, 2017 will finish first, so I'm assuming the highest.
No, since Conte won the league,
yeah.
What is the highest Chelsea finished in the Premier League?
What, 4th? Yeah.
The standards have been slipping. Let me tell you something. I know we're coming on we're going on, right? But let me paint a picture for you. The standards have been slipping over the last 6 years. Chelsea have not done well in the league. People want to forget that. Chelsea have been the most successful club over the last 20 years. Yes, 2 Champions Leagues. Was it 3 or 4 Premier Leagues? Total trophies, Chelsea have been the most successful. But the slipping started in Antonio Conte's 2nd season. That is when the standard started slipping. When Conte won the league in his 1st season in charge, he wanted 3 players. He wanted a new right back. he wanted a new midfielder, and he wanted a striker. Which was the right back that Conte wanted? Do you know?
I don't know, but it
Do you
doesn't.
know? Let me ask. No, wait. Let me ask. Let's play
Waffling.
this.
You
Let,
waffling.
no, let me ask you a question. Who did Conte want to come in at right back?
I don't know. I don't support Chelsea.
No, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna tell you.
So tell me.
Kyle Walker.
Okay.
Who did he get?
I don't know. Who did you get?
Sapa Costa.
Ivanovic.
Sapa Costa.
All right. I mean, they look
Okay.
similar.
Okay. No, let me give you the second one.
They look similar. Maybe the board got confused.
Who did he want as a striker to replace Diego Costa after he fell out with Diego Costa? Who did he want?
Probably Kane.
Lukaku. He
Okay.
wanted Lukaku, and if Conte got Lukaku, it's a different Lukaku because we saw what Conte did with Lukaku at Inter.
At Inter.
Inter.
At Inter. We've
At
seen
Inter.
Lukaku in the Premier League.
At Inter. But who Conte builds a team around Lukaku, if he got, who did he get? Chelsea, Roman decided not to pay up. He decided to wait. And what happened? Man United came in and they popped Chelsea to Lukaku. Who did they get?
No, Chelsea got after Costa.
Morata.
Yeah.
Morata. And we all know what happened with Alvaro Morata in the Premier League.
But we know Chelsea and
We
strikers.
all know what happened.
We know Chelsea and strikers.
The final nail in the coffin was the final nail in the coffin. Who did Roman decide to sell in midfield to Man United? Who won the league next to N'Golo Kante? Matic.
Yeah.
Nemanja Matic. And who did he replace Matic with?
Drinkwater.
Drinkwater and Bakayoko.
Okay, but at the time, Bakayoko was a signing. Let's not forget, you all wanted Bakayoko.
He wasn't a first-team player, though.
At Monaco, he was doing wonders.
Okay,
regardless, okay, I understand the standards.
My point is after all of this, the standards have been slipping in the last 6 years. My point is, I don't want to just throw my toys out the cot and say, I don't see Champions League. I don't see the title challenge. They spent 500 or $1 billion in the last 9 months, and I want to give it time. I'm trying to, as Chelsea fans, I think we're trying to be less reactionary. Let's trust the owners.
Process.
Let's trust it.
Trust the process.
If we can have this conversation in a year's time, in 2 years' time, and Chelsea could potentially be sacking Potch and bringing someone else in, and you could say, you know what, they should have sacked Potch after the first season when he finished 7th. Or Chelsea can be where Arsenal are now. Arsenal can be slipping. Chelsea could be finishing 2nd or winning the Premier League. And then we can be like, okay, in hindsight, hindsight's a beautiful thing, right?
It is a wonderful thing. But I see you rattled. You went all the way back to 2017, yeah.
I know my facts.
You went back 6 years. You still prove to me not to say Potch.
I hate the fact when people say, where are the standards? I'm trying to have standards. Chelsea have not had standards for the last 6-7 years. People forget that.
So it's time to bring them back.
The Champions League under Tuchel was a paper over the cracks. It made people forget how poor Chelsea are. Nobody expected Chelsea to win the Champions League that season.
Agreed.
Nobody did. Tuchel, it was a coaching masterclass that was built on the defense of Silva, Azpilicueta, and Rudiger. That's what and Mendy hit a purple form patch of his life that we will never see.
I don't know what Mendy was going through, but
that's
never got that Mendy back.
Chelsea won the Champions League with your star boy Havertz and Werner up front. Let's not forget that.
All right, you know what? The uncalled for Havertz comment. Look, I will say one thing about Havertz though that I missed maybe, but a quick thing before we move on. I watched Havertz against PSV. He had some good plays in midfield, good touches in midfield and stuff like that, but Havertz is not a midfielder. Havertz is a number 9. I've got to the point. Havertz is a number 9.
You sound like the Chelsea fans.
I'm telling you, Havertz is not. He's not a midfielder.
You're preaching to the choir.
This is how I see it. Look, I'm not a manager. I'm just a fan watching the game.
And what is Havertz?
And from what I see is the best time I've seen of Havertz is when he's up front. We saw it in the Community Shield, and I saw it against PSV.
But he can't finish.
He can't finish, but the thing is, he can hold up play for wingers to get around him. So,
what did Chelsea fans say? And we're crucified week in, week out. Havertz is more, when Havertz plays up front, Chelsea's link-up play is better. It's exactly what you're saying. But you laughed at us. You ain't laughing now.
I'm not laughing now, but I'm
not laughing now.
For me, he's not even he's supposed to be a starter for us anyway. So
So where should he play?
On the bench.
So you have 65 million to play on the bench.
I said you have it every week. Why can't we?
City got 100 million Grealish sitting in where I don't know where. Looks like Doku is the man.
City are a different animal.
Anyway,
We can talk about them for a whole another day. But
let's
if you want to move on, I think there's only one place to go.
well, no, we need to predict the Chelsea game before we
Oh
move
yes, I forgot about that.
I'm gonna go with a 1-0. The Blues to get 3 points. I have to back my team.
You're gonna keep a clean sheet against Villa, the mighty Villa.
I think he'll keep a clean sheet.
I think you're in for another rude awakening. I think it's gonna be about 3-1 Villa. Good evening.
3-1.
Good evening.
If it's a 3-1 to then we probably headed to a crisis. If it turns out to be 3-1 Villa, I think
I don't see y'all beating Villa in the Formula in. Y'all have to take some miracle.
It might be curtains for the season if we want. That's the unthinkable right now.
We'll see what happens. But I don't see y'all beating Villa. I think Villa are gonna beat y'all. I think y'all will get results in the next 2 games. I think it was Burnley and Fulham, you said. So, and even Fulham's not gonna be easy, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Not gonna be easy. Fulham's not gonna be easy. I think Fulham did a double over us last season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Moving on.
There's only one place to move on to. I think, like you said, who's worse, Man United or Chelsea?
I think that's the billion dollar question right now.
I think Chelsea are better off than United, but only for one reason. The age of your squad is much less. So you'll have something for the future. Whereas United, we know it's now or never for United, and it just seems like they have more and more problems. Look, I don't want to go. We can spend a whole hour or 2 on United. I don't want to go that much into them, but I will say, if they can't get a result this weekend, it's looking like they're on the verge of crisis mode over in United too.
So the game is I believe it's at Turf Moor.
So yes,
I think it's at Turf Moor, the game. I agree. I think it has to be. I think Burnley have had 1 point this season. Their striker Lyle Foster is also out for the next 3 games. Apparently Amrabat is back or is available.
United, the only thing United can be saved by is the injuries of players coming back, but I still think Ten Hag's out of his depth.
You think Ten Hag is not the right man for the job?
I mean, Ten Hag has been here for 2 seasons and he said he's never be able to field his strongest 11. I don't think he knows what his strongest 11 is.
That's all. Yeah. Look, I think Ten Hag this season is D-Day season for him. Like, he's been backed in the transfer market. I mean, okay, given he's created the situation with Sancho to a certain extent, obviously I think he's unlucky with the entity situation, but they've given him a striker. They've given him a new midfield, 2 new midfielders in Mount and Amrabat. And yeah, I think if they have to get 3 points this weekend, they have to start kick on into second year. Look, they didn't have the best of starts last season. I think they got a bit of a thrashing at Brighton, at Brentford.
Yeah.
And they had the Ronaldo situation to deal with. So I think if he doesn't turn it around, then it might be curtains for Ten Hag.
We can look back on this and say, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag gets sacked this season at the rate that they're going.
Yeah,
I do think they will improve. It's just by how much they improve is a big question.
True, because there's no style of play. Although that striker does look good, like Højlund does look like he could be a good player.
He looks decent, but I mean, you need other players around him. Look, I think we've spoken about Casemiro losing his legs. It's not a shock to the world. He's aging, and then you don't have a right winger. Ten Hag was talking about Palestri going up against Davies and say he can get the better of him. I don't know if he's just losing his mind or he's trying to add confidence to his players in out in public, but then he out Sancho in public. So it's very contradicting to what he's doing now. I think those matters should be handled privately. Where with Sancho especially, I don't think he was in the right state of mind to come out, especially after defeat, and talk about Sancho.
I think he's being undermined behind the scenes. And I think this is what I think, and it could be it's a shot in the dark, and I could be completely off. But I think what's happening with Ten Hag is he's being undermined behind the scenes. I mean, there's been a lot of leaks coming out of the dressing room. I think players are throwing their tantrums and so forth. And I think his way of retaliation, of his way of trying to um, fire back and fire his players up and say that I'm the boss is by outing them in public. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
And
I don't
whether
know.
it
I don't know what you
works,
mean.
but it could backfire completely. I think the Sancho thing, I think that kind of backfired as well. I think, I at the end of the day, like the play, your goal, like the ultimate goal and your measure of success is getting the player on your side and getting the player to perform for you. And Sancho's gone. Anthony is having a dealing with a situation, and now he has no right winger. So it kind of backfired on him, the whole Sancho situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I agree. I think they will pick up form. How much form they will pick up, like what's the gap that they're gonna bridge is remains to be seen. But if United don't get Champions League this season, I can't see how Ten Hag stays.
And another thing is, I agree with all of that. And Onana needs to start making some saves. Look, it's all good and well. He has more apologies this season than clean sheets. So that Busker dance needs to get his head in the game and start actually making saves if they want to do something. It's not all about playing with your feet. You're a keeper. You first a keeper. You need to save some shots.
First and foremost, you are a keeper, so you need to be a shot stopper first and foremost. Like having this, playing with your feet, playing out to the back, that's all secondary.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the style of play. So I completely agree with you. Um, I think that's if either he's been completely misprofiled and it's been a shocker of a signing, or Nana turns it around, or unless the ghost of David De Gea is lingering in Carrington.
They gave back as a free agent. I love it. I will be there. I will be there.
Yeah, I think it's a big. I mean, it's Burnley, but if there's one man who wants to get 3 points over United, it's probably Vincent Company. Let's be serious.
Agreed. I mean, he doesn't have the best of starts, like you said. Only 1 point, and I think it was against Forest, right? When they drew to
1
Forest.
point. Yes, it was against Forest. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, they haven't had the best of starts. United haven't had the best of starts. So both teams need the points. But what would your prediction be for this game?
I think United win 2-1.
Yeah, I see United beating them. If United don't beat Burnley, like we said, it could start turning into crisis mode over there. But I think they'll get the job done. I think 2-0 United.
Yep, that's fair. The two fixtures left on the big six. One is Liverpool West Ham. I think let's go there. Fresh off the Antonio comments, saying that West Ham will finish above Liverpool. You think that's possible this season?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think Liverpool have found some of their macho back. I think them being out of Champions League this season is going to be looked at as a blessing in disguise for them. Especially since they don't have the players in midfield to cover Champions League and Premier League, and then we know how their defense has injury issues all the time. So it could be seen as a blessing in disguise. I don't see West Ham finishing above Liverpool this season. So
yeah, neither do I. I think West Ham have had a good season so far. Obviously they were humbled at City last weekend, but what's your prediction for the game? Liverpool at home at Anfield.
I think Liverpool will get the job done. I see probably 3-1 Liverpool.
Yeah,
I don't see West Ham going to Anfield getting the points. Although West Ham have had a good start to the season, but I think this will be just a bit too much for them.
I think 2-1 Liverpool. I think Liverpool go up 2-0 and West Ham get a consolation late in the game, but Liverpool will see it out. So I would love it if West Ham beat Liverpool or if they get some game. But let's see. Maybe Antonio will be pumped up, but I'm pretty sure Liverpool's defense are going to make sure Antonio doesn't do anything, or they shackle him basically.
Well, I know if Arteta was manager, he'll be showing the interview before the game. But I don't know what Klopp will be doing.
No idea. Last but not least is the City Forest. Probably a routine win for City.
I'm tired of the City team. I think I'll be celebrating when Pep leaves this league. If he leaves, but City are just looking at like another, like every time you think they can't get better, they just do it. It's just the inevitable, City are gonna be up there regardless. And now that they got Forest is it at home?
It's at home at the Etihad.
Yeah, there's no chance of Forest at this moment. I'll probably go like 4-0 City.
I'll go 3-0 City. I think Forest are going to probably employ the low block and try and hit City on a counter with Awani. But I think City, Haaland is going to be too strong. Alvarez, and we forget that they still have KDB to come back, and
Bernardo Silva.
That's pretty scary when you actually think about it and put it into mind. So 3-0 City, you saying 4-0 City. Any final thoughts before we end it off here?
I will say, you were mentioning that Chelsea didn't have a left winger now, but if only they could assign that Hudson-Odoi from Forest, he scored a banger on Monday against Burnley, so it would be nice if I could have him, no?
It would be nice, but Forest will probably quote us 100 million for him, but Chelsea will probably pay. So maybe that happens in January.
We'll see. But it was a good goal from him. So
very good goal. I'm happy for him. I wanted him to be successful at Chelsea. I think after the injury he had, he didn't really look comfortable or the same player. But then again, Chelsea have been one chaos to another, one crisis to another. So
I think that's a good move for him because I don't think he was. I think there was too much pressure at the top for him. Maybe he'll come back and be able to play at the top, but right now I think Forest is a good move for him.
Yeah, I mean Bayern Munich were in talks for him for 80 million at one point. So, he was. I will say what Saka is today is where I expected Hudson-Odoi to. Like that's the high hopes I had for him.
That's a potentially add. I agree too. But it wasn't meant to be. It's not always easy. Not many players make it.
That is true. That is true. Anyway, anything else before we end off here?
No, just don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and check out the combined 11 we have coming out tomorrow, actually. So be on the lookout for that. Combined 11 of obviously Arsenal and Spurs, since that's the big top 6 fixture this weekend.
Yeah.
Other than that,
like, comment, subscribe. But other than that, we will be out, people, and we'll see you all next week.
Take care, guys.